Let me be honest with you. Women don't always chase what's easy to have. In fact, the moment a man becomes unattainable, calm, and indifferent, he suddenly becomes far more interesting. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's a pattern that happens again and again in dating dynamics. Women often become obsessed with men who don't want them, or who at least appear indifferent. Why? Because human psychology, desire, and attraction aren't as simple as most men are told. Here's the truth. Scarcity creates desire. When a man is constantly available, overeager, or desperate to please, a woman's interest naturally drops. On the flip side, when a man maintains his independence, sets boundaries, and doesn't give his attention freely, something shifts. That woman starts noticing him in ways she didn't before. She begins thinking about him more, imagining scenarios, and even feeling a pull to win him over. That pull is powerful because it's rooted in challenge, intrigue, and a sense of value. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's about understanding female psychology and how attraction works naturally. It's about showing, through actions and energy, that your value isn't tied to her validation. Women are drawn to men who have their own lives, self-respect, and priorities. When they sense a man is emotionally independent and unattached, they start experiencing a psychological drive to engage, impress, and even compete for his attention. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why women behave this way, what triggers their obsession, and how you can operate from a position of calm authority without chasing, pleading, or compromising your standards. By understanding these dynamics, you'll see why some men get more attention effortlessly while others struggle. Welcome to the channel, where we dive into the real truths about female psychology and attraction. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll have clear insights into why women become obsessed with men who don't want them, and how you can harness that knowledge to improve your relationships, self-respect, and confidence. 1. The allure of unavailability. Unavailability is one of the most powerful silent forces in attraction, and yet most men completely misunderstand it. Women are naturally drawn to men who aren't easy to get because it signals value, self-respect, and independence. When a man isn't constantly available, it creates a sense of challenge, curiosity, and intrigue that pulls her in without a single word being said. Think about a scenario. There's a man at a social gathering who doesn't constantly check his phone, doesn't lean in to impress everyone, and isn't vying for attention. He's calm, engaged on his own terms, and present without being overbearing. A woman notices him, not because he's loud or flashy, but because he's not trying to impress. She starts wondering why he's so composed, why he doesn't bend over backward for approval, and why his attention isn't freely given. That sense of unavailability instantly elevates his perceived value in her eyes. Unavailability works on multiple levels. First, it communicates that you have a life outside of her. Women sense when a man is independent, busy with goals, and emotionally self-sufficient. That energy is magnetic. Second, it creates scarcity, not in a manipulative sense, but naturally. When you're not constantly available, she has to think about you, notice your presence more, and consider what it would take to earn your attention. Scarcity makes desire grow because people instinctively value what isn't easily obtained. It's important to understand that unavailability doesn't mean being cold, rude, or dismissive. It's about maintaining boundaries and prioritizing your own life. You don't cancel your life for someone else. You don't over-pursue, and you don't over-communicate. You operate from a place of calm authority and self-respect. Women notice this immediately. The man who can walk into a room, be fully himself, and not chase approval radiates a form of attraction that words can't create. The allure of unavailability also taps into female psychology on a deeper level. Women are wired to notice confidence, emotional independence, and composure. When a man isn't desperate for validation, he automatically triggers curiosity, respect, and often a desire to win him over. She starts thinking about him more, noticing details, and imagining scenarios. That mental energy she invests in him naturally leads to obsession. Ultimately, unavailability is not about playing games. It's about demonstrating value without saying it. It's about showing, through your energy and actions, that you operate on your own terms. When women see that, they start to respect, desire, and even obsess over a man who doesn't chase, proving just how powerful this silent move can be. 2. Why chasing kills attraction. Chasing a woman almost always backfires, no matter how confident or well-intentioned a man thinks he is. When you chase, you signal neediness, dependency, and a lack of self-respect, all of which are natural turn-offs. Women are instinctively drawn to men who value themselves more than they seek validation from others. When you run after her, it flips the dynamic, giving her control and diminishing your perceived value. Chasing comes in many forms: constantly texting first, trying to impress with gifts or attention, over-explaining your feelings, or bending your schedule just to accommodate her. Each action chips away at the silent authority you could be projecting. The moment a woman senses that she has the upper hand in the interaction, her interest often wanes because attraction thrives on challenge and balance, not availability on demand. When a man chases, he inadvertently communicates desperation. Even if he has good intentions, the energy behind the actions is what women pick up on first. Desperation is rarely attractive. It suggests a lack of boundaries and a willingness to compromise self-respect for approval. On the other hand, a man who doesn't chase, who maintains his standards and moves at his own pace, immediately signals that his attention is valuable and must be earned. That alone triggers curiosity, respect, and attraction. Chasing also reduces mystery, which is a key factor in attraction. The more predictable a man becomes, the less intrigue there is. By being constantly available and reactive, you remove the opportunity for her to wonder about you, to think about you when you're not around, or to invest mental and emotional energy into understanding you. Women are drawn to men who are interesting, autonomous, and somewhat unpredictable in their availability because it stimulates desire and emotional engagement. Another point to consider is self-focus. Chasing pulls your energy outward, making her the center of your world. That imbalance is unattractive. When you shift focus back to yourself, your goals, hobbies, social life, and emotional growth, women notice. They sense the difference immediately. A man who operates from a space of self-respect and independence naturally becomes someone worth pursuing, and that shift is often what sparks obsession. The takeaway is simple. Stop chasing, step back, maintain your standards, and let her invest in winning your attention. Attraction is not created through pursuit, it's cultivated through presence, independence, and the subtle art of making your value clear without begging for acknowledgement. Women become fascinated and often obsessed when they realize they have to meet your level instead of the other way around. 3. Confidence over effort. Wins. Confidence is far more magnetic than effort. Too many men believe that constantly trying, impressing, or over-explaining will make a woman interested. It doesn't. Women are instinctively drawn to men who are secure in themselves, independent and composed, men who don't have to overextend to prove their worth. Confidence comes from knowing your value and living in alignment with it. It's not about arrogance, bragging, or dominating conversations. It's about being comfortable in your own skin. Women notice when a man exudes calm, steady self-assurance. That energy is far more compelling than someone who bends over backward to gain approval. Confidence communicates without words that you're a man who sets standards, maintains boundaries, and doesn't settle for less than you deserve. Effort, in contrast, often communicates neediness. When you constantly chase, over-message, or go out of your way to impress, it signals that your self-worth depends on her attention. Women pick up on this immediately. Effort without confidence is easy to spot, and it rarely inspires attraction or respect. On the other hand, a man who applies effort selectively and strategically, backed by self-assured confidence, creates curiosity and desire. Confidence also impacts behavior in social dynamics. A confident man is engaging without trying too hard. He initiates when necessary, but doesn't overcompensate. He knows when to step forward and when to step back. That balance, confidence paired with discernment, is what draws women in naturally. They are intrigued by his presence, respect his boundaries, and often find themselves investing effort to earn his attention. Another key aspect is emotional stability. Confidence allows you to remain composed under pressure. When a woman tests limits or challenges your attention, a confident man doesn't react impulsively or panic. He maintains control, subtly reinforcing his value without confrontation. This stability is magnetic. It communicates security, strength, and self-respect. Ultimately, confidence over effort is about quality, not quantity. It's not how much you do for her or how much you chase. It's the energy you project and the standards you uphold. Women sense this immediately. A man who embodies confidence naturally becomes someone worth pursuing. Effort alone can't create attraction, but confidence, silent, steady, and self-assured, wins it effortlessly. 4. The mystery factor. Mystery is one of the strongest forces in attraction, yet most men underestimate its power. When a man reveals everything about himself too quickly, shares every thought, or over-communicates, he becomes predictable. Predictability kills curiosity, and curiosity is what keeps women mentally and emotionally engaged. Mystery creates intrigue, makes women think about you when you're not around, and naturally draws them in. Being mysterious doesn't mean being secretive or dishonest. It's about withholding unnecessary information, pacing the sharing of personal details, and maintaining a sense of independence. When a woman can't predict your every move, she invests energy into figuring you out. That investment, mental, emotional, and even subconscious, builds fascination and attraction over time. Another key element of mystery is presence without over-explanation. A man who is calm, composed, and selective in his responses demonstrates that he values himself more than he needs approval or validation. Women notice subtle energy shifts. If you're always available, always explaining, always oversharing, there's nothing left for her to discover. But when you maintain a layer of mystery, you compel her attention without having to chase it. Mystery also intersects with unavailability. You don't have to be distant to create intrigue, but being selective with your attention amplifies the effect. By engaging when it's meaningful and stepping back when it's not, you naturally keep her curiosity alive. She begins to notice the patterns, wonder about your life, and invest emotionally in the process of connecting with you. Confidence enhances mystery. A confident man doesn't feel the need to fill silence, explain every thought, or chase approval. Instead, he knows that his energy, presence, and self-respect are enough to make an impression. Mystery becomes a tool, not a strategy. It's simply the natural outcome of living authentically while maintaining boundaries and independence. Finally, understand that mystery isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about maintaining your value and keeping attraction alive. Women are drawn to men who aren't fully readable, who have lives, interests, and a composed energy that invites curiosity. The more you embrace this, the more women find themselves thinking about you, wondering what you're up to, and feeling drawn to be part of your life, even without you chasing or explaining yourself. 5. Creating scarcity. Without games. Scarcity is one of the most powerful tools in attraction, but many men misunderstand it. It's not about manipulation, mind games, or being deliberately mean. It's about showing that your time, attention, and energy are valuable, and that they're not freely available to just anyone. When a woman realizes that she has to earn your presence, she begins to notice you more, think about you more, and often feel a pull to engage that she didn't feel before. Consider a scenario. A woman texts you expecting an immediate reply, but you're busy focusing on your work, hobbies, or personal goals. You don't over-apologize for the delay, you don't justify yourself, and you don't chase her attention. She notices the difference. That small act of prioritizing yourself creates a subtle scarcity that instantly elevates your value in her eyes. She begins to wonder why you're not constantly available and starts thinking about you when you're not around. Creating scarcity is also about being selective with your energy and attention. You engage meaningfully when you want to, not out of obligation. You don't overcommit to social plans, constantly rearrange your schedule, or seek her validation through endless texts or favors. Women instinctively pick up on the balance between availability and independence. A man who has limits, who prioritizes his own life, and who doesn't overextend himself naturally becomes more attractive. Another key point is consistency. Scarcity only works if it's genuine. If you're unpredictable, hot and cold, or overcompensate after a period of distance, it destroys credibility and reduces attraction. True scarcity comes from a place of self-respect and personal focus, not from trying to manipulate someone's emotions. Finally, creating scarcity without games strengthens your presence. Women are drawn to men who are self-contained, who value themselves, and who don't rely on external validation. When she sees that you're not constantly available, she starts investing mental and emotional energy into connecting with you. That's where attraction turns into fascination, and fascination can evolve into obsession, all without a single manipulative act. Scarcity is about balance, valuing yourself while remaining authentic, showing independence while engaging meaningfully, and allowing a woman to earn your attention naturally. When done correctly, it creates intrigue, respect, and desire, making you someone she can't stop thinking about. 6. Emotional independence sparks desire. Emotional independence is one of the most overlooked yet powerful drivers of attraction. Women are drawn to men who are not emotionally dependent on their attention, approval, or validation. When a man demonstrates that he is secure, self-sufficient, and comfortable in his own life, it triggers a natural fascination and desire. Emotional independence signals that a man's value doesn't rely on her feelings, and that makes him far more compelling. Being emotionally independent doesn't mean being cold or unfeeling. It means you have control over your own happiness and aren't easily swayed by a woman's moods, opinions, or reactions. You engage with interest when it feels right, but you don't react to every slight or try to fix her perception of you. Women notice this immediately. They sense the difference between a man who is grounded and one who is reactive or needy. When a man is emotionally independent, he naturally sets boundaries without drama. He can say no, step back when needed, and maintain his own priorities without guilt. That calm, self-assured energy is magnetic. Women feel challenged, intrigued, and drawn toward a man who is not reliant on their validation to feel complete. The pull comes from curiosity and respect. She wants to be part of the life of a man who clearly has one of his own. Emotional independence also reduces chasing. When you're secure in yourself, you no longer feel compelled to constantly pursue attention, approval, or affection. Instead, interactions happen on your terms, naturally creating balance and intrigue. Women are wired to notice effort, energy, and boundaries. When a man prioritizes his emotional health, it communicates stability, value, and worth without him needing to boast or convince her. Another key point is consistency. Emotional independence must be practiced regularly. If you're secure one day but reactive the next, it sends mixed signals. Consistent emotional independence builds an aura of reliability and strength that women find highly attractive. It communicates that you are a man who can be counted on for steadiness, not drama. Ultimately, emotional independence sparks desire because it demonstrates self-respect and control. Women are drawn to men who are grounded in themselves and not dependent on them for happiness. That independence, when combined with the other silent moves we've discussed, creates fascination, intrigue, and often obsession, without any manipulation, games, or over-effort. 7. Stop begging, start earning respect. Many men make the mistake of trying too hard to gain a woman's attention, affection, or approval. They overtext, overplan, and over-explain themselves, hoping that effort alone will make her interested. The problem is that begging rarely creates attraction. In fact, it often repels it. Women are instinctively drawn to men who operate from a place of self-respect, standards, and quiet authority. If you want her attention, the key is to earn it, not plead for it. Earning respect starts with boundaries. A man who maintains his standards and refuses to compromise his values communicates strength without words. Women notice immediately when a man prioritizes himself and his goals over seeking validation. This isn't about arrogance or coldness. It's about showing that your time and energy are valuable and that you won't tolerate disrespect. When a woman sees that, she's compelled to approach you on equal footing rather than taking advantage of your availability. Another critical aspect is patience. Attraction grows when a woman has to invest effort to gain your attention. By stepping back and allowing her to chase, you shift the dynamic naturally. She begins to notice your value, think about you more, and invest emotionally in earning your respect. This approach works silently but powerfully because it leverages her natural curiosity, desire, and competitive instincts without requiring manipulation. Constructive criticism for men here. Many of you confuse kindness and generosity with weakness. Being thoughtful, attentive, or emotionally open is not a flaw, but giving too much without reciprocation or overextending yourself signals neediness. A woman respects a man who can give freely but knows when to step back. Balance is everything. Finally, confidence plays a huge role. Earning respect isn't about force. It's about demonstrating self-assuredness and independence consistently. When you maintain your standards, control your energy, and operate from a place of calm authority, women notice. They begin to respect your time, think about your value, and in many cases, develop a strong desire to be part of your life. The truth is simple. Begging rarely works, but earning respect consistently changes everything. Stop overextending, stop chasing, and start living on your terms. When you do, you become someone women can't ignore, someone who commands fascination, attention, and even obsession, all without drama or desperation. Here's a truth most men don't realize. Women become obsessed with men who don't need them. It's not manipulation, games, or luck. It's psychology. When a man operates from a place of self-respect, emotional independence, and quiet confidence, he naturally sparks curiosity and attraction. Women notice when he sets boundaries, maintains his life, and doesn't chase validation. That combination of calm authority and unavailability triggers fascination and often obsession. The controversial part? Many men think constant effort, overcommunication, and chasing will make a woman value them. It doesn't. Effort without self-respect is invisible. Women are drawn to men who make them work, think, and invest emotionally, not men who bend over backward to please them. That shift in understanding is eye-opening because it flips everything most men believe about attraction. I want to hear from you. Have you noticed women becoming more interested when you maintained your independence or boundaries? Share your experiences in the comments. I'll read everyone and engage because real-life stories help all of us understand how female psychology plays out in the real world. Remember, fascination and desire are rarely created through words, gifts, or chasing. They're created through self-respect, emotional independence, and subtle authority. When you operate from that space, women take notice, respect grows, and attraction becomes almost automatic. Master these principles, live them consistently, and you'll see how naturally women start valuing and even obsessing over men who aren't desperate for their attention.